When I was 10 years old, I moved to a small city in Illinois called Geneva. It took me a little bit to find a place to fit in, but I landed in a group of kids that were absolutely obsessed with skateboarding. In between actually skateboarding, we would watch classic video parts of all of our favorite pros, we would build ramps and grind boxes, and we'd draw the logos of the popular brands at the time in our notebooks at school. The interesting thing about skateboarding is that even amongst friends, there is a competitive hierarchy. Whoever could do the best tricks or could ollie over the biggest stair set, they were the best skater. Now don't get me wrong, you can get by for years with skateboarding if you don't know very many tricks. You can ride ramps and grind without ever needing a flip trick, but there were levels to it. In the beginning, there were only 2 of us who could do any of the more advanced tricks, and I desperately wanted to join their ranks. The first step was the kickflip. For the uninitiated, the kickflip is where the board flips towards your backside once and you land on it on the way around. This is such a quintessential trick for skateboarders because it's a trick that separates the people that ride skateboards from the ones that skate. I started to focus my sights on the kickflip when I was 11 years old, and I practiced it non-stop for the better part of 2 years. I don't think since then I have ever locked in on one goal as heavily as I did the kickflip. It got to the point where all of the friends I started skateboarding with had moved on to other hobbies, and I was alone. But still, every day I got up and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. The problem I had for so long towards the end was that I could get the board to flip perfectly, but I couldn't get my back foot to land on it. I would land the board with my front foot in the middle of the board and the back foot would be on the ground next to it. Knowing what I know now, I would have just YouTubed a tutorial and used what I learned to attack the problem from a different angle. But at the time I was so blindly focused, there was no room for outside help. I needed to land it on my own, even if it killed me. And I remember the day it finally clicked for me, like it was yesterday. I was at my friend Chris's house, and in the street I thought to myself, maybe I've been looking at this all wrong. Maybe the back foot really isn't the problem, and the front foot, even though it's landing on the board, is where I'm going wrong. As if the front foot isn't giving the back foot enough room to land on the board. I dropped my board, pushed off, popped the tail, flicked my toe down, spinning the board, and thought, land the front foot so far north on the board your back foot will have an aircraft carrier's amount of space to land on this board. The board haphazardly flipped, the front wheels bounced off the ground and came up to meet my feet, and I had landed both my first and ugliest kickflip. I'm not kidding when I say that I got off the board and I cried. Suddenly, almost 3 years of work had culminated into the deepest and most immense feeling of accomplishment I have ever felt, probably still to this day. For the next couple of months, it was as if I had reinvigorated the old squad I had started skateboarding with. They each dusted off their old boards and started meeting me at the skate park again, just like the old days. Of course, the hobby amongst us, this time myself included, started to die off. We were all going into high school at this point, and we had other endeavors in front of us. I cannot express enough how important the journey to get the kickflip was for me. Not only as a kid, but even for me now. I learned a lesson so valuable, and it has stuck with me in my core. I learned that even the most impossible task can be overcome with diligence. I was prepared to get a kickflip or die, whichever came first. It was that important to me, and because it was so important, I don't think it would have mattered if it took 3 years or 30 years, I wouldn't have quit. Even when all of my friends had walked away from the sport, I was still there because I had to be. The kickflip, like everything in life, is a battle of attrition. It's not about who the best is, or the fastest, or the smartest. It's all about who can stay in the fight for the longest, who can fall down and fail over and over and over again, because they know there is a light at the end of the tunnel and they won't stop until they get to it. I made this video because I woke up the other day and I had realized the last time I stepped on a skateboard was maybe 7 years ago. And just like a language, if you don't practice it, you lose it. As for the kickflip though, I'm happy to report that I still got it, baby.